talk about the Republican Party because it's kind of going through an identity crisis.
Look, I don't know what the Republican Party stands for anymore.
We've got the Oregon GOP spreading misinformation about the insurrection and a QAnon believer making a lot of noise in Congress. So does this mean the party's headed for some type of split?
We're not the party of white supremacy. We're not the party of QAnon. We're not the party of Proud Boys.
Hey, 80 and 90-year-olds, it's finally your day. You can now sign up for a vaccine right here in Oregon, which makes this state, let me check real quick, last in the nation to let seniors get their shots. Here's the story. All right, thanks for being with us. I'm Dan Haggerty. Welcome to The Story. This is the show that wants to hear from you, so all the ways to reach out to us are at the bottom of your screen. You can email us at thestory@kgw.com. You can find me on Facebook or Instagram or use Twitter in the hashtag HeyDan. So today, as you know, is the first day Oregonians 80 and older can sign up to get their COVID vaccine. I know, finally, a lot of people were excited about this. Seniors have, after all, been bumped in the line by teachers and then inmates, so now it is their turn. In the metro area, the only way seniors can sign up for a shot, though, is online. It's the only way you can get an appointment. So let's take a look at how that's going. Dawn says, I spent 2.5 hours online trying to get a COVID-19 vaccine appointment for my 86-year-old mother-in-law. I began at 9:30 a.m. and finally called it a day at 12:15. As a side note, my wife tried to get an appointment at PDX without success. She logged in at 12:05 and was advised no appointments were available. John emailed me and said, I tried to make a reservation this morning to get the shot. I filled out everything exactly many times, and the system kept making me log into my legacy account. I called 211. They told me they closed at 1 p.m. because of too many problems. And Carrie Lynn tweeted, Hey Dan, signed up 83-year-old equals nightmare. Open before 12 p.m., noted start time, phone portal kicked me out, get through screens and time slot, gone, have to start all over. Helpers need to know you need your date of birth, address, and insurance info, or you can't schedule. So, wow. Honestly, it sounds awful. If you tried to walk through those steps today, you probably feel like they had similar experiences to yours. I talked to Pat Doris about all this, who's been following the vaccine rollout since the beginning, about what is going on here. Pat, we kind of discussed how this could be a cluster today when we were talking about it last week on the show. How close to a cluster was it?
I'd say full blown. I mean, it's not like the sites did not crash. But I've been trading emails with lots and lots of people, and even the people who got through and were able to make appointments found a number of hiccups along the way. So I would say overall a very rough day. One of the sites opened 3 hours earlier with no warning and no notification. Absolutely ridiculous. The other one opened an hour early, and all these seniors that have been believing us because we believed the people who told us that, they were all waiting to start at noon, and a lot of people are angry and disappointed tonight.
Okay, so moving forward, if I have a grandparent or a parent or I myself am 80 or older and I am looking to sign up for a spot, what is my strategy now?
Well, the first thing that I would do that I'm telling my in-laws to do is start checking for the pharmacies in the neighborhood. Check Safeway, Albertsons, Costco, because I believe they are probably going to get some deliveries in the next week or so. And so check their pharmacy websites and see if you can sign up there. The other thing to do would be a week from now, next Monday, 12:01 a.m., you might want to get up and start trying to log on. I'm not sure that I really have much confidence in the times that we'll be told for next week. And so I just check it every hour. I'm sorry to say that, but that is probably the best way to protect yourself. I don't really think it's going to open at midnight, but it seems very unpredictable on when it will open. And next week, by the way, the 75-year-olds will join the party.
So give me an idea, just so people know what you're doing, because I think folks feel like, wow, they're going to have to sit by their computer, really pay attention to all these different websites. What are you going to be doing to kind of make sure that you keep us up to date with how things have been changing this week for people? Because they're going to be checking in with us a lot.
Yeah, well, one of the things I'm doing is hammering away with the PR folks at Legacy and Providence and OHSU and I'm forgetting one, Kaiser, and really trying to find out what's going on behind the scenes. What are they doing? How are they making these websites better? even when you get in to book for the convention center, for example, you have to then transition into a legacy sign up on My Legacy. And there's been several hiccups with that. So I'm trying to work with them. Let's put together an instructional video so people can just follow it step by step and make it simple. I've heard complaints about the Providence one. If you go out to the airport, OHSU, the drive-through, then you're dealing with Providence is what people have told me. I haven't verified that, but they said that's been a little glitchy as well. So this needs to be super simple, because if you've got 80-year-olds trying to do it, God bless them, it's going to be difficult. But even for their 50-year-old kids, it's a challenge. What we really need is a whole team of grandkids to get this all streamlined for all of us. But so far, that hasn't happened, Dan.
Right. Okay. Pat, thank you for the update.
You bet.
Now, in the meantime, why don't we take a quick look at how we're doing with vaccines overall. So in Oregon, more than 425,000 people have gotten at least their first dose. Some of those people have gotten their second shot. But the first dose number, that works out to 10% of the population. So 1 in 10 people with at least one shot. In Washington, more than 669,000 people have gotten at least their first dose, which is about 9% of the population. We need to get to that 75% mark for the herd immunity to work according to science. We're going to keep checking in on this each and every day. Now, a quick story that we think is worth your time. This is from the Oregonian, and this is something we talked about a lot last week. The state's Vaccine Advisory Committee, that's the group of people making recommendations for who should get the vaccine next. Well, they decided to have these closed-door meetings to the public because of apparently some of the volunteers have been getting racist, hateful messages. State officials closed those meetings, even though the people who got that hate mail didn't actually tell them that that's what they wanted them to do. And journalists, including us, raised some serious red flags about transparency. Now, at the time, OHA gave us excuses like the meetings didn't have to be public because the committee had already finalized its recommendations. But it turns out there was a lot more to the story, and there's much more to this story to be read in the article from the Oregonian. Let's talk big story right now, which is all about the future of the Republican Party, both here in Oregon and across the country. Now, the party just lost the White House, as you know, and Congress. And they're really dealing with an identity crisis of sorts. I mean, case in point, last month, the official arm of the Oregon GOP passed this resolution here, condemning the Republicans in Congress who voted to impeach President Trump. And in that, they claimed the attack on the U.S. Capitol was a, quote, false flag operation designed to discredit President Trump and his supporters, which is, of course, blatantly untrue. Again, this is from the official Oregon Republican Party, not some fringe Facebook group. Well, that led to this guy here announcing that he plans to leave the party, that he's out. You probably remember Newt Butler as the Republican who ran for governor against Kate Brown in 2018. He also ran for Congress last year as well. So he's been a pretty prominent Republican in this state, a Republican no more. Last week, he told me that he doesn't know what the Republican Party stands for anymore. So given that, I asked him about his thoughts on the future of the party.
Do you believe that we could see a split in the party?
Absolutely. I think you could see a split, not only Republican Party, but also the Democratic Party. You know, there is this same fault lines in the Democratic Party between more extreme elements and more moderate. You know, this is a very dynamic time in our political system, and it should be. You know, there's serious changes going through our society, and that's a time when political parties rise and fall, and I think we're in the midst of one of those right now.
Now, I also spoke with Congresswoman Jamie Herrera Butler from Southwest Washington. She's gotten some recent attention for standing up against these more fringe elements of her party. She was one of the members of Congress, of course, who members of Congress condemned by the Oregon GOP for voting to impeach President Trump. And last week, she called the conspiracy theories spread by Georgia Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene insane. But she did not vote to strip her of her committee assignments. Now, Butler said he doesn't know what the GOP is about anymore, but Herrera Butler told me that she at least knows what it's not about.
We're not the party of white supremacy. We're not the party of QAnon. We're not the party of Proud Boys. I don't want their votes.
Now, unlike Butler, she says that she is staying in the party. Here's what she told me when I asked her if she thinks we could actually see a split in the GOP.
Time will tell. I think it would be destructive for us to split off, but I can't control what other people are going to do. I can tell you I'm not going anywhere. My goal is to just reestablish who we are based on the principles we've always espoused. I'm not going to let people push me out who say because I didn't swear fealty to a personality that means I'm no longer a Republican. No, I actually think we should turn that a bit and say, prove to us you understand the values of the Republican Party and you want to fight for them. Defending the Constitution tends to be chief top of there. But time will tell. I can't control what other people are going to do. And I do think we're at an inflection point. I do think we're in a place we haven't been, at least certainly in a generation. I just have this, I really do have, it's almost an unwavering faith in the American people, though, and in a vast majority of Republican voters. Because in there, whether or not there are some that are frustrated, they're going to do the right thing for the right reasons.
Okay, so now you've heard from me and you've heard from two politicians about where they think the GOP is headed. So let's get kind of a more neutral view of all this. I spoke with Portland State political science instructor Jack Miller to get some context around this.
The fact that people have brought up the idea of the party splitting, this First American Party or a Patriot Party or a kind of a Trump America Party splitting from the Republican Party, is there any validity to that in your eyes, or is that just some kind of TV pundit talking point?
Well, historically, we haven't seen a major party break up since the 1850s. But also, historically, we have a pretty high level of political polarization and divisiveness in the 20s. So the parallel is decent. It has been 170 years since we've seen this happen. And so it's not even that it's not living memory. It's really 3/4 of American history with a pretty stable two-party system. Part of the reason why that's the case is that party leaders of both parties have always faced these crises with the same kind of fear that they face, a fracturing party at any moment, which is the knowledge that it will be electoral doom for there to be a Republican Party that splits into two parties. If there's the traditional GOP and then the Patriot Party or the MAGA Party, whatever they call themselves, those two parties will lose almost every seat that they currently have. Because in our winner-take-all election system, you have to have the most votes. And that's part of the reason why we have a two-party system, is that if your party coalition fragments even a little bit, you don't just lose some elections, you lose almost every election. So the fear of a fragmented party has incentivized party leaders to do everything they possibly can to heal these rifts when they do arrive. And up to this point, since the 1850s, since the pre-Civil War crisis, those party leaders have been successful at doing that. And I believe that the party leadership in the Republican Party is savvy enough to avert that again.
Yeah. Now, look, as always on this show, I want to hear from you. So if you're a Republican in Oregon or Washington, you don't have to be a Republican, but I'm just curious where you think your party is headed if you're a Republican. I've already gotten some messages from people telling me that they are leaving the party, but in the scope of things, with 700,000 Republicans here in this state, the people leaving so far have only been a small fraction. So I know a lot of Republicans have something to say about this. So let me know your thoughts. Email the story at kgw.com or use that hashtag HeyDan on Twitter.
A lot of us got stimulus checks last year. I bet you were like, yay, hooray, free money. Well, it turns out nothing's free, especially money. And the state of Oregon wants its cut. And yeah, I know, I see all those snowflakes on your weather app, which means it's time for another edition of
Matsafino versus your phone.
When the story continues.
Welcome back. I was just spending some time reading through emails and Facebook comments and tweets and all that stuff. People using the hashtag HeyDan. We're on Instagram too. I'm not sure if you know that. Follow us at TheStoryKGW. I'm on there as well, Dan.Haggerty, if you'd like. Now, I want to talk about money, your money, for just a second. It's somehow already tax season, and this year's going to be a little bit wonkier than it typically is. We know you have a lot of questions about this, and we want to answer them for you, like this one from Jen, who asked us, hey, Dan, is Oregon taxing the stimulus payments? A shocker to us, as I'm sure it will be to most people. So long story short, yes, you're probably going to owe some extra money to the state or get a smaller refund than usual. So here's how it works. Oregon is one of only a few states that lets you deduct the federal income taxes that you pay from the income that you pay state taxes on. And typically that saves you some money in state taxes. But here's where it gets confusing. The stimulus payments are technically advance payments of federal income tax credit. So that means that your federal tax liability goes down, and so does the amount that you can then subtract from your taxable income when you file your Oregon state taxes, right? You're like, no, not right. What are you even talking about? And I barely know, okay? Tax code is not fun to talk about unless you've studied that sort of thing. So let's just talk about dollars and cents and how it will affect your bank account a little bit more specifically. We have some examples here to help you figure out how much you will owe. So you multiply the amount of money that you got in stimulus money, all right, by Oregon's state tax rate, which is 8.75%. So let's just say you're the average single person, you got $1,800 from that stimulus. You would owe an extra $157.50 to the state this year. Now, if you have a family with kids, maybe you got $3,400, right, in stimulus money, you would owe more like $298 in Oregon taxes. Now, this isn't going to apply, of course, if you make too little to pay federal taxes or too much to qualify for the state credit, or if you live in Washington where you don't pay any income tax at all, which must be nice. Now, I'm not sure where you get your weather forecast from, all right? Hopefully you get it from us. Pretty sure that most of you do if you're watching right now, but maybe you're just one of the people who checks the app on your phone. People do that. It's fair. That's fine. And if you looked at your weather app for Portland lately, let's check out the one we got on the screen now. Yikes. Lots of snowflakes. All right, all over, up and down the board there. It actually says we're going to have a chance of snow Thursday through next Tuesday at least. So, okay, people are excited or angry, depending on how you feel about snow, but not so fast. Phone app, because it's time for another edition of Matt Zaffino versus your phone.
I'm going to whoop your app.
Gets better every time I see it. I love it so much. Matt, thank you for joining us.
You want to see my tattoo?
Yeah, well, yeah, that was an exact. Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Thank you for getting that.
Right.
Is it right, the weather app? Can we believe it this time around?
Yeah, you know what, Dan? I mean, they are useful, especially in the short term, and when the weather is fairly benign and not that changeable, then they're pretty accurate. So they do provide some good information. I don't want to completely just say, oh, they're all totally out to lunch, because they're not. But what they are is just a simple computer representation of model data. There's no forecaster that is actually saying, yeah, no, that's not exactly right, and changing that for the infinite number of locations around the world. Of course, that would basically be impossible. And it depends on what model they're using and how they apply it, which is why you get different answers. So let's look at a few of them. Here's the same one you just showed, Dan. Interestingly enough, I must have captured this at a different time because yours had a cloud and no snowflake in the middle there, but mine just has snowflakes all the way on down. As you can see, from Thursday through Monday, it's all snow. But it begs the question, well, how much snow? And I got to ask you a question, Dan. Do you even pay attention to these numbers, these percentages? Do you even notice those?
Come on, be honest. I
I
don't know what they mean, because they mean
Right.
90% at my house, 90% overall. The higher the percentage, the more likely I think it is to snow. Is that right?
That is true. That is true. But that's a really fair point that you made there. What it means is these are called percentage of precipitation. It means that within the given forecast area, there is for instance, on Thursday, well, let's choose Friday, a 50% chance under this given forecast scenario that it will precipitate somewhere within the forecast area. So that's what it means, which, doesn't really provide you with a lot of useful information, especially when it's only 50%, right? So that's the iPhone app. It's telling you snow, but it's not telling you how much. It's giving you a percentage, and what exactly does that mean? And then there are the temperatures over on the side. Let's look at another app here. This one is the Kgw app. Now, Personally, I actually like this one better, not just because it's KGW, but for a couple of reasons. First of all, it doesn't just give you a simple snowflake, it gives you words, and it gives you the icon as well. So it tells you rain to snow. I like this too because it actually mirrors my forecast: rain to snow, snow showers, snow showers, snow showers, and then snow to rain on Monday. So it's a little bit clearer as to what it is, but it's still not telling you how much. And then it's giving you temperatures over on the side, which again are a little confusing because it gives the high before the low, which is not how it usually works in weather. Usually the coldest part of the day is in the morning, and then it gets warmer in the afternoon. Now the third one, this is dark sky. Parts of this I like, parts of it I don't like. One of the things I don't like is, what is this thing? What is that? 2 snowflakes and then a squiggly blue line. I think they mean ice. So a mix of snow and freezing rain maybe, or maybe it just means rain, but I think it means ice. So okay, they're saying snow and ice, and then partly cloudy and then snow and ice again. But in what order does that happen? Is it going to go from snow to rain like the Kgw app says, and then rain to snow? Or not? So again, they require a lot of interpretation. There's no human forecaster that is actually working on these forecasts. It's just pure model output, as we call it. And I don't know what model they're using, and I've researched this, so some models are better than others, and that's what we look at as forecasters. What model performs better under certain situations? Some are better in the short term, some are better in the long term. Some are better with snowstorms, some are better with hurricanes. So again, I'm not sure what model they're going to use. So here's my forecast for you. We know it's going to get colder. We know we're going to get strong east winds. The worst case, or snowiest case, is several inches Thursday through Saturday. Driest case, just a few flurries, and it's no big deal at all with the snow. I think most likely we'll get a trace to about 2 inches. But again, the timing on when we get the snow and how much we get, that'll come into better focus the closer we get. So stay tuned.
Exactly what I learned from 2 snowflakes and a blue line.
Right.
Got it. All right, that's all the same. Yeah, Matt, thank you. Appreciate it. In the meantime, we'll keep our eye on the snow for you, and we'll keep looking out for your messages. Send them in with the hashtag HeyDan. We're going to finish this up by going back inside Woodlawn. Well, more likely outside Woodlawn, but you get the point. A bunch of 5th graders organizing a Black Lives Matter car parade. We're back after this. Hey, still looking through some comments. We're going to read a few just in a second. But first I want to talk about 5th grade. I mean, what did you accomplish in 5th grade? I honestly don't know if I can remember back that far. I know I wasn't doing anything all that memorable. Not like the kids at Woodlawn, what they're doing. Recently, a group of 5th graders there helped to organize a Black Lives Matter car parade. And if you've watched any of the stories from our series Inside Woodlawn, you know that race and the fight for equality has been a big part of the lessons that are taught at that school. And as photojournalist John Goodwin shows us, apparently the kids are listening.
I am proud that Woodlawn is a school that teaches kids how to be leaders from the moment they walk in the building. You are taught to lead by example. You are supported, and you are welcome no matter what color you are, what your beliefs are. You can interact with any of our students and you know that they have leadership qualities.
I think it's a cause that doesn't get enough attention. Racism is a big deal, and it's not something that can be ignored. It needs to have action on it.
Here we go. Not just a month, all year long. Thank you so much for being here. Today would have been Trayvon Martin's 26th birthday. We are celebrating with our Woodlawn School Black Lives Matter parade planned by our No Place for Hate group, a group of 5th graders right over here.
Black Lives Matter!
Teachers and families have been invited today to get into their cars, have their cars decorated, and take a little route around the neighborhood.
It's really cool because, well, one, we haven't seen each other in almost a year. And 2, it's kind of nice to celebrate with everybody you know. Black Lives Matter!
Being able to ride through the neighborhood, and no matter what color people are, that they're able to cheer with us or clap with us in celebrating a Black life.
All lives matter. Black Lives Matter. And we're so happy to be out here today representing Woodlawn Wildcats. Have a great day.
Because it's an important message for adults, but it's even more important that we're doing this with our kids and that our kids can see it happen and they can experience it.
We feel more empowered when there's more people.
Knowing that the kids one day will walk into a world where they may not have the same views as you, and knowing that they're being led in the right direction. And the change starts with them.
Hey, so real quick about the future of the GOP piece, the elephant in the room commentary we've been talking about for a while. So we talked to Newt Butler, who was one of the leaders in the Republican Party, ran for governor a few years ago, and someone wrote in, Angie said, Newt isn't the spokesperson for the GOP, never was. Bill Courier is the spokesperson. So he is the chairman of that executive committee that put out that referendum calling it the incident, the assault at the Capitol, a false flag operation. And we've been trying to talk to Bill. So I've seen him. I think he did some other TV and did some other radio stuff. I've been trying to get a hold of him, maybe because we've been hammering them so hard on the falsehood of that statement. Maybe that's not why he's returning my calls. But when he does, I'll put him on the show. And I'll be nice during the interview, Bill. I promise. I'll give you an opportunity to answer questions. So hopefully that he can come forward and talk about some of the issues that we're wondering about the GOP and some of the statements coming from the party. In the meantime, I'll keep giving you the best I can. That's it for the story for tonight. It's a Monday. I'll see you back here tomorrow.